along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Buddha. This completes the Arya Bhagavati Prajnaparamita Hridaya Sutra.
Thank you, Ms. Jane.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me? Thank you. Thank you, Jane. And welcome you to the second session of the teaching on Śhālistamba Sūtra. With this, let us recite the Heart Sutra mantra 5 times together. And as we recite it, just let us keep in mind that this mantra is a reminder for us to improve our mind, to cleanse our mind of the mental defilements, thereby awakening, thereby unraveling the hidden treasure of the Buddha energy within us, to make us more be freed from miseries and embrace the maximum happiness for yourself, for all the beings. And imagine that all beings are with you. And all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, particularly Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, they are right in front of us in space. Deyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgate Bodhisvatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate 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 Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. Okay, what we discussed earlier about the dependent origination. For this, the 3 levels, we mentioned the 3 levels of dependent origination. First level of which is the dependent origination, where the results are dependent on the causes, also referred to as the causal dependent origination. For this, we need to, this is so important, And this will tell us as to how we operate in samsara, and what kind of experiences that we go through, the experiences of pain, and experience of the sadness, and experience of joy also, not only pain and sadness, but joy, and the feeling of affection, genuine feeling of a connection, feeling of affection towards each other. In other words, compassion, loving kindness, and bodhicitta. They are so beautiful feelings. And yes, our mind has that capacity. And in fact, I personally would say that the different philosophical traditions came into this earth, and some of them, yes, where these philosophical traditions, they come into existence, then the thinking of the people, thinking of the community is being shaped by these thought processes. For example, like, say, in India, since like millennia, since 1,000 years in India, there's a tradition of say the compassion, tradition of the oneness of the family. That's amazing. Any visitor comes, you welcome them. This is a beautiful tradition. And in the West also, yes, in some places we do find that these beautiful traditions existed, where the visitors come, the newcomers come, or the people who unknown strangers come. You welcome them, knowing that they don't know the place, they don't know where to get the food, they don't know where to stay, and you welcome them. You just reach out to them with so much love and affection. These traditions existed. And then Charles Darwin's evolutionary came into being. This thought came into being. And on that basis, then the individualism became very strong. It's very sad, very sad. So where the individualism, sense of individualism becomes very strong, then the human connection is lost. Charles Darwin, who talked about the survival of the fittest. You should be fit to survive. And if you take care of others, if you don't take care of yourself, you will die. So survival of the fittest. So when that becomes the dominant principle, people's thinking, community thinking, the people's thinking, the whole psyche of the individual, whole psyche of the community changes. So now the point is that for us, it's not that, oh, the olden time thinking is very precious. Charles Darwin and the individualism grounded on Charles Darwin's the principle is not good. No, let's not be like this. Let us think of yourself. Yourself, what is your potential? What do you want? Let's begin from there. So when we begin with this, what I want, you may be in the environment, society, community, where there is the individualism, which is the dominant, the psyche, or in other communities with different the trend of thinking as the psyche. And wherever you are, just think of that. And what kind of imprint that you have brought from your past life, we never know. You can be very compassionate, and generally speaking, the Mahayana means where the people think of others, and then the seeking personal liberation. Seeking personal liberation means you think about yourself. But even in the countries where the teaching on the personal liberation is so much the dominating teachings amongst the practitioners, amongst the monks, we see that there are some of them who are really like bodhisattvas, the monks who start schools, who take care of the elderly people, who run charities. That's amazing. So good people born anywhere. Now the thing is that, what about you? What do you want? And we don't we don't need to feel shy that, okay, I'm very selfish. No, it doesn't matter. So what do you want? We begin from there, be very realistic, and then you will get what you want. So this is what we discussed so much in the first session about what we want. We want, say, to stay away from miseries and to have the maximum happiness. For this, the principle, the basic principle which the Buddha came up with is known as the dependent origination. The principle of dependent origination. If you see that this is the ground, on the philosophical ground or the foundational philosophy on which your thought process is built up, you can become a very different person. You can see that you will actually see things very differently, how to get away from miseries and how to expand your happiness. For this, the three levels of dependent origination, the first of which is the causal dependent origination. And we see that the first one, causal dependent origination, that is the one which actually governs the whole universe. When we talk about the Big Bang, for example, say how even according to Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory, how do the creatures come into existence? How did the world come into existence? And how they say the Homo sapiens, they say 0.3 million years ago, it came from 0.3 million years ago. And what is before that? Before that, the first ancestor, 4 billion years ago, the unicellular organism, the first unicellular organism which exists 4 billion years ago. So all these studies, all this information, the knowledge is based on the principle of cause and effect, on the knowledge of the cause and effect. So from the fossils, the fossils that you discovered, and then even according to say then what about before that, 4 billion years ago, 4.6 billion years ago, the world, planet Earth came into existence as part of the outcome of the explosion of the sun. And some came out from the Milky Way galaxy, which in turn came out from the Big Bang. So physics thus far with the visible universe, this universe originated from Big Bang, so which was 15 billion years ago. So we see that, so how all these calculations were done on the basic principle of cause and effect. How the universe came into being by the physicists, they calculated this on a basis of the Doppler's effect. Doppler's effect, and based on the principle of cause and effect. And Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory, it came into being on the basis of the fossils, which in turn, again based on the cause and effect. So how these fossils came into existence is because of these factors, causes, conditions. And then from there, we can see that it existed like, say, 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 10.3 million years ago. So this is how, I say, the science, modern science works on the basis of the cause and effect. In other words, that the whole universe is operating on the basis of the cause and effect, the principle. And where we are unaware, or we are being very oblivious to the efficacy of cause and effect, then we tend to engage in unrealistic approaches. Unrealistic approaches, and which gives rise to, say, undesirable results in the form of suffering. So therefore, the Buddha emphasized so much on the cause and effect, the dependent origination of the results depends on the causes. So within this is so important for us, imperative for us to know that this cause and effect can be seen in two forms, two classes. One is a natural cause and effect, and the other one is a karmic cause and effect. This distinction must be made. Natural cause and effect say the Charles Darwin's evolution theory and the physics, they explaining how the universe came into existence 15 billion years ago, all these calculations were done on the basis of the natural cause and effect. There's another cause and effect known as the karmic cause and effect. What is the karmic cause and effect? To be, they say, in reality, the karmic cause and effect is a subset of the natural cause and effect. But then how do we distinguish between what is a karmic cause and effect as opposed to cause and effect which is non-karmic? This is very important. In simple terms, in short, let's say that if I ask you, okay, let's say that this flower is in my hand, and then I push it. So this is the initial stage, and then I push it with my hand. I push. This is a cause, and the flower falls. There's a result. Flower falls. There's a result, and this flower will not come back on its own because it does not involve this flower does not have the element of the intention. So I push it, and the flower falls, and the flower does not come back. Whereas if there is let's say that okay, say if let's say that our IT staff, if he's with me and I push, he falls. Then he'll come back. If he wants to challenge me, he'll come back. He'll come back. It's not that he falls and then finish. He falls, keep falling, and then I have to pick him up. So this flower, I have to pick it up. If I want it back on my hand, I have to bring it back. The flower will not come back on his own. Whereas the IT staff, if I push him, he falls, and then if he wants to challenge me, he'll come back. So there, what makes him to come back? It is his intention. There's an element of the intention involved. So now, cause and effect, where the intention is involved, this is known as karmic cause and effect. Whereas this flower, if I hit it on my hand like this, it doesn't give rise to music, because this flower and my hand, these two are both ordinary matters. So when they hit, they give a particular sound as a result. And this flower does not have the intention to give rise to this music, this sound. And my hand also does not have the intention to give rise to this sound. So just when these two come together with a particular force, then a particular sound is created, but not a music. So that is purely a non-karmic cause and effect. So in other words, cause and effect, where the mental factor, where the element of the intention is involved, that becomes karmic cause and effect. So therefore, when you talk about the negative karmas, positive karmas, how strong the positive karma is, how strong the negative karma is greatly determined by the intention. What is the intention like? How intense, how strong is the intention? If the intention is very strong, then the karma can become very intense and very strong. So the intention, where the intention is involved, that cause and effect becomes karmic cause and effect. Okay. Sometimes what is known as the natural cause and effect, and on the other hand, the karmic cause and effect, these two can overlap. Let's say that okay, let's say that was I think about like maybe 12 years ago. 12 years ago in Pakistan. What is that place? I forgot the name of the place now. In a school, there was the shooting happened in the school. shooting happened in school. And there was a poor little girl, who was going to the school for the first time in her life, first day, or the first time going to school in her life. And she went there and the shooting happened and she died. Peshawar in Pakistan. And whereas there was another boy who used to go to school every day, and one day he overslept. And he missed the class. And that day, when the shooting happened, and the next day when he went to the school, he came to discover that many of his friends died to the shooting. Okay, so here we see that there's overlapping of the two kinds of cause and effect. For example, this little girl went there to school and shooting happens, and these two, the bullet and the girl's body meet, and this is the natural law that happens, then it can kill the person. So this is the natural cause and effect. But why it should happen to the girl that very day? Why the boy, he overslept and his life spared? Why? So there's another level why this girl should be going there at that point, was again because of the previous karma there. So this karma linked with this, that becomes the karmic cause and effect. And then how the actual event of the loss of life happens is because of the natural cause and effect. These two are overlapping. These things can happen, overlapping. What we need to know is that the cause and effect where the intention is involved, that becomes a karmic cause, and the result is a karmic result. Where the intention is missing, if for example, like a leaf falls and just make a sound, or the water falls and makes a sound. So these are all the non-karmic cause and effect. So these are things that we need to know. So with this in mind, that the conviction in the efficacy of the law of karma, this is also known as the faith. But the faith in English word, it can mean very differently. Faith here is more like conviction. Conviction in the efficacy of the cause and effect, where this effect, it should necessarily come into being by its respective cause. And for a happy result, for a pleasant result, the cause must be virtuous. Virtuous karma, virtuous the action, and that is known as positive karma. And unpleasant experiences, they should necessarily be given rise to by the previous causes, which are non-virtuous, known as the negative karmas. So any experience of the pains, any experience of happiness that we go through, let us not be too good, always blaming somebody else. Instead, if you think about, yes, there are multiple factors where, for example, say you go to job, you go to your work, and at the workplace, your colleague is, not being kind to you, or yes, of course, it can happen. It can happen. And then why this colleague is not kind to you that time? Is it that every day the person is unkind to you? No. Sometimes the person is kind, sometimes the person is neutral, sometimes the person is unkind. And in some cases, maybe unkind every day. There are different things happen. But is it the case that person is unkind to us? Everyone. No. But to you, yes, sometimes. So why? And then when it happens to you, you feel hurt, you feel pain. Yes. The moment there's a pain, there's immediate cause and long-term cause. Immediate cause is then the other person as the same as a condition. That is a cause. We cannot deny that reality as well. So meanwhile, the long-term cause is your own negative karma, which we did in the past. So we have to think of both. And some people, they abuse the concept of karma. What they do is that they say let's say, to give a simple example, say the mother and a child. The mother asks the naughty child, hey, study well, study well. If you don't study well, you'll fail in the school. And the child does not study at all. And finally, the child fails. And the mother says, now I told you, you're going to fail. And you fail now because you did not study. And the child says, Mom, what should I do? Is my karma to fail? If I don't have karma to fail, I'll not fail. Right? So this is the abuse of the karma. So how this abuse happens is because that the parents and the child both do not know the concept of karma so well. So here in this case, karma, there are so many kinds of karma. One is known as a definite karma, and the other one is known as uncertain karma. And definite karma and uncertain karma. Say, uncertain karma are those karmas which can be manipulated by yourself very easily. Even if you have the karma to fail in the exam, but that karma, if it is not definite karma, if it is uncertain karma, definite karma means very powerful karma for you to fail. And uncertain karma means, say, the weak karma, which you can control it. You study well, you keep yourself healthy, study well, go to the exam, then this negative karma cannot ripen. Whereas if it's a very definite karma, yes, of course, no matter what you do, somehow something will happen. For example, say in my case, I'll give you one example of my own, say, the situation. When I was age 18 or 19, I was sitting for the final school exam before joining the college. In India, we call it class 12 exam, the final year of the schooling. I was so well prepared, and particularly, okay, there's many confidential things which I promise not to reveal. Okay, one thing that I may share with you is that mathematics, I was thinking of scoring very high. I will not say 100%. Scoring very high. Physics also very high. And that day the paper was mathematics. And I was so well prepared. And went there to the exam hall. I said that I was so particular not to even miss half a mark. Finally, the exams, these are going to be checked by not by the computers, but checked by the people, examiners, the people. And the people, if they're not too happy with my writing, they will just cut down the marks. So I have to write it very beautifully, very clean. My mind was so obsessed, so engrossed with keep writing the meticulously, nicely. The exam was for 3 hours. I just finished 1/10 of the paper. And already 2 hours gone. I did not notice that. So how can I complete the 9/10 of the paper in the next 1 hour? All the complicated mathematical calculations were still to be done. Finished. So that I would say that this is not out of my abuse of the karma. It's really because of the negative karma, which I might have done earlier. In a way, it can be a great blessing for me. Okay, which I may not go into detail. It's a big blessing for me. Okay, so what I'm saying is that the karma, there are two kinds, definite karma and the uncertain karma. So where people just neglect and they just don't want to engage in the courses, they don't want to create the causes for the future goodness. And then when they fail, they would blame the karma. So this is the total abuse of karma, not knowing the real concept of karma. Okay, so with this in mind, after learning the dependent origination, I would say that we must learn to build conviction in the law of karma, conviction in the law of cause and effect. Let's not use the word karma too much, because the moment we say karma, it becomes very obscure in the mind of many people. They take it like an esoteric teaching, not as a real, logical, what is very logical. While it is very logical, but as I said earlier, physics, biology, neuroscience, they all work on a basis of the principle of cause and effect. And this is a conviction that we need to build up by studying the Śhālistamba Sūtra or the Rice Sutra. Okay, and then I made this very clear that there are multiple factors involved in our experiencing joys, sadness, happiness, tension. There are multiple factors, and the immediate factors are also there, and the long-term factor, which is our own previous, one of the major causes was our own the negative karmas which we did in the past. So if you get this conviction, number one, the immediate benefit is that your agitation, and you will not freak out. When something bad happens to you, you will not feel shocked, because you will accept it. Okay, this is what I must have done a negative karma in the past. So now this is the ripening of the result. And then so that way you see that your sanity is maintained. Whereas if you don't have this idea that your own one of the major factors for your own pains, miseries, and unfortunate events in your life, one of the major factors is the past karma which we did in the past. If you don't have this knowledge, then when something bad happens, you are in shock, and you will see that your whole life is totally meaningless and hollow. And this is where we can go through a deep despair. So this is the immediate benefit, number one. Number two, that not only that, this will greatly help you to expand your joys. How? Everybody wants to have the joy expanded. Everybody wants to have the happiness expanded. Some people may not agree with me with the word happiness, right? Happiness is a word which is very contextual. In some places, happiness means something like the immediate pleasures, sensual pleasures. Whereas in some other places, happiness means mental happiness, not only physical, it's the mental happiness also. For example, somebody is kind to you, you feel so happy. This is also happiness. It's nothing to do with the sensual pleasure. So the point is that if you disagree with this word happiness, it doesn't matter. Let us not get too glued to the words. Instead, we can go for other choice of words like ease. You want fulfillment, ease. Okay, so this knowledge of the knowledge and the conviction in the efficacy of the cause and effect, that the cause and the immediate causes there, immediate conditions are there, long-term cause and conditions also there. Long-term, one of the most important of which is your own previous actions, previous karmas as a cause. That is responsible for you experiencing the pains, stress, and the loneliness, and so forth. Okay, so how does it help to multiply your joys? How does this knowledge help you to multiply your joys? This is amazing. Okay, the true nature of your mind, true nature of your mind, true nature of my mind, true nature of the mind of your children, of your parents, of your husband, wife, of the people around you. The true nature of mind is like a light. Light, where when the light is trapped in a vase, that the light beams cannot go out, it cannot escape. you break the vase, then the light inside will behave in its natural form, that it permeates into all directions effortlessly. So this is ease. Trapped means you're imprisoned. Imprisoned means you are not happy. The moment the imprisonment, you are freed from the ensnarement of the entanglement in this the prison of the prison of the mind. The performance is natural, form, natural behavior of expansion. This is the ease. You feel the infinite ease. So while this is your true nature, why we don't have this infinite ease yet? Because that there's something which is blocking us, which traps your mind to make it behave in its natural form. What blocks us that? What blocks this mind from behaving in its natural form, to expand infinitely, to feel the infinite joy? It's the selfishness, self-centered attitude. And this self-centered attitude is not the real, not your true nature. This is a superficial nature. We can get rid of this. How to get rid of this? Introduce a counterforce. What is a counterforce? Other cherishing. So look, the other cherishing, opposite of which is self-cherishing. Self-cherishing traps a mind and allowing a mind not allowing a mind to feel the infinite ease. So self-cherishing, that is responsible for this. And self-cherishing makes us to behave in a very selfish way. Negative karma. All these negative karmas are driven by this selfishness. Then you feel so angry towards the selfishness, towards your selfishness. So the more you show anger, more you show disapproval to the selfishness, the more you embrace others. The more you embrace others, more your mind will flow. For example, say that you are to go to you are to join a new company as an employee. There you are very apprehensive. So the 100 people there, and I'm a new person there, and I'm a little nervous. What are these people like? I don't know whether they are accommodating, compassionate, or selfish. I'm not too sure. When you go there, say initially you are very apprehensive. There's a little bit of uneasiness there, and then you see that, oh, there's one of your friends is also working there. You feel ease. You feel not only one friend, there are actually 10 friends there, 10 times the ease. Your ease multiplies 10 times. And you see that all the 100 people, they are your friends. They are your brothers, sisters, the cousins, are all very loving to you. Many of them you lost during the COVID time, right? They disappeared from your life, and suddenly you end up seeing them all day in the same company. You have the 100%. The ease of your mind. Okay, so where your compassion and love and affection spreads towards the more and more number of people, ease multiplies. This is a very simple mechanism, how it works. So therefore, when we see that, the more we are able to see the demerits of the selfishness, which made me to engage in negative karmas, now resulting in the form of pains within me, you see the demerit of this selfishness by seeing dependent origination. But dependence on this selfishness, I accumulate this negative karma, now wrapping in the form of a pain within myself now. So with this, you feel aversion to the selfishness. And when you feel aversion to selfishness, how to get rid of this? Into this counterforce. What the counterforce? Other cherishing. But dependence on cherishing others, the selfishness is gone rid of. But remove the selfishness, the negative karmas will not be accumulated. By not accumulating negative karmas, the pains will not be experienced. You are freed from the pains. And when you see the pains are gone, there's a joy expanding. That's amazing. So to understand dependent origin, this is so precious. Where any pain that comes to you, you will not be shocked. You will not feel angry. You will not blame others. 100% blame will not go towards others. Yes, other people can do wrong. Yes, it doesn't mean that it's 100% what you did in the past. It's like the two hands coming together. One hand symbolizing your previous karma, other hand symbolizing the immediate causes. These two come together, then the sound of the misery, stress, anger, stress and pain within you comes about. So therefore, it doesn't mean that, okay, all others, whatever they do, is not their mistake, it is my own negative karma. No, my negative karma plus their factors. If your negative karma is not there, their factors per se cannot do anything to create pain in you. So this is where you will, number one, the immediate benefit is that some of you may think that it's so stupid to think like this because it's the other person's mistake. So why should I surrender? Why should I feel like, when you say, why should I do like this? Anger is already building up within you. Agitation builds up within you. It's not helping, it's harming you. You think that it is helping you, it is actually harming you. Whereas if you say that, yeah, you are also responsible, but my negative karma is also responsible, right? It's not helpless in you. It's my negative karma is also responsible. That is a primary reason that I'm feeling this pain. Then your agitation will not arise. Okay. So when you are really agitated, when the anger arises, you'll feel that this approach is really unwise or stupid. Whereas when you are when you have the sanity, if you are given a choice, would you be agitated under a given situation? Would you feel more happy to be agitated, or you will be more happy that you are calm? When you have the sanity, you'll say that I want to be more calm. But when you're in the rage of anger, you'll say that no, I will not be. I must teach a lesson to this person, right? Or when you say that I'm teaching lesson, the person is teaching lesson to you. You are becoming angry already. You're already agitated. Your blood pressure shoots up, and you have to, again, the person asks you to go for next blood pressure medicine, right? So therefore, it is not helping you. It is harming us. So therefore, this knowledge of the dependent origination, this is extremely beneficial, particularly the two kinds of dependent, the causal dependent origination. One is natural cause and effect, and the other one is karmic cause and effect. If you know this, if you have this very precious knowledge that where all our problems, any problem arises within myself, agitation, sadness, loneliness, and so forth, anything happens, somehow the immediate causes are there, long-term cause, my own negative karma in the past is also involved. When you realize this, with this piece of information, you have two benefits. Immediate benefit, that you will not be shocked. Your blood pressure will not shoot up. You'll be calm. You don't have to go for the antidepressant medicines. You'll be calm. That's the immediate benefit. Long-term benefit, that your joy will multiply. How? By seeing that negative karma is triggered by the selfishness. And selfishness is my real enemy. The other person is immediate cause, but it's not my real enemy. Real enemy is my selfishness. So how to get rid of this selfishness? By other cherishing. The moment you cherish others, all the negative karmas will stop. When negative karmas stop, your miseries will stop. And seeing that your miseries are stopping, you feel the joy. Your joy multiplies. This is amazingly precious for us. Amazingly precious. Okay, so these are two things that we need to remember after learning the Śhālistamba Sūtra or the Rice Sutra. The conviction in the efficacy of the law of cause and effect, karmic cause and effect, must come to us. And with this, the benefit twofold. Let's not forget it. Okay, screen sharing. Okay, okay, so what we are saying is that we're talking about the 12 links of dependent origination. First, it says that the first, okay, these are this is quite a long text. From this, the summary points that we need to remember is what the Buddha taught, that whosoever sees dependent origination will see the Dharma. And whosoever sees the Dharma will see the Buddha. First one. Number two, because this exists, that exists. Because this is produced, that is produced. Because of ignorance, formation or the karma formation, all karma is created, because of which the consciousness is created, because of which the name and form is created, and because the name and form arises, and because of which the senses arise, because of which the contact and the feelings, and then the craving, the grasping, becoming, and the birth, and then the name and form. And then the Buddha continued, where the ignorance ceases, then the formation ceases, because of which the consciousness ceases, because of which name and form ceases, and then the 12 links will stop, your misery will stop. This is what the Buddha taught. Let's read this here. Because this exists, that exists, because this is produced, that is produced. Okay, and first let me read the following lines, and then we'll go back to explain this. That is to say, ignorance causes formations, formations meaning the karma. Formations cause consciousness, consciousness causes name and form cause the sixth sense sources. The sixth sense, okay, I'll quickly explain this, what was actually happening within to us, what kind of process we go through in samsara, particularly, let's say, we as human beings, how we go through the samsaric existence. Say, the ignorance, we have to say, you dream. So dream symbolizes the ignorance. Okay, for sleep symbolizes the ignorance. With the sleep, then the dream happens. Without sleep, dream will not happen. Sleep symbolizes ignorance, and then it creates a dream. And this dream is purely created by your sleep. But we are unaware that we are dreaming. Okay, I'm sharing with you the points. We have to remember these points. Number one, we fall asleep. Number two, we start to dream, which means we project the dream. Number two. Number three, we are unaware that we are dreaming. Let me repeat it. Okay. Just see if you agree with what I'm sharing with you. Number one, that we fall asleep. Number one. Falling asleep, then our mind projects the dream. Number two. How many agree with me? Raise hands. You fall asleep, then the dream is created. Okay, the Kalachakra Center? Kalachakra Center group? Okay, good. So dream is projected, number two. Number three, in most cases, we are unaware that we are creating the dream. We don't know that. In most cases, in rare cases, we are aware that we are dreaming. Leave them aside. Generally speaking, we are unaware that we are projecting the dreams. Number three, how many agree with me? Raise hands. Good. Okay. Number four, because that we are unaware that we are creating a dream. Number four, the dream appears as real, objectively real. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Good. While the same number two is that we project, subjectively we project. Number three, we are unaware that we are subjectively projecting it. Number four, because we are unaware that we are subjectively projecting it, the dream is seen as objectively real. Number four. While it is subjectively projected, but we see that as objectively real. Dream appears as objectively real. Then number five. Because that it appears objectively real, you believe it is objectively real. How many agree with me? Raise hands. You believe it is objectively real. Number five. Number six, because you believe that it is objectively real, then what it does, it affects you. For example, the dream goes, it comes to chase you. The object affects you. This is number 6. Number 7, then you react, right? You jump or you run. You react. This is number 7. How many agree with me, sense? Okay, so like this, let's say that the first, the ignorance, sleep, which resembles the ignorance. This ignorance makes us to project things. And we are unaware that they are projected and they are seen as objectively real. This is ignorance. Because of this, what I said in the form of the 7 points, the Buddha summarized in 2 points. Ignorance gives rise to the formation. Formation, you react. You react. That is a karma. Your react means is you act. You act. You engage in the action. That is karma. Contaminated karma. And karma, will be very precise. Karma, there are 2 kinds. Contaminated karmas and uncontaminated karmas. Uncontaminated karmas are so pure that it is not a reaction. It's a proactivity. It is not a reaction. Proactive, being proactive, and being reactive, these 2 are different. Okay, so they say the formation is a contaminated karma. Number 2. But this, what happens is that this karma is, they say that at the moment, let's say that, say you have the conflict or fight with somebody, and the next moment, let's say that you attend this teaching, Śhālistamba Sūtra, right? And then you learn about cause and effect, your own karma, and so forth, and you become calm. Okay, yeah, it's my karma. You become calm. Okay, so there, what happened to the previous moment of the fight? That karma, it did not disappear. It becomes a dormant state. It changes into a dormant state. It's now not in say manifest state. It becomes a dormant state in the form of seeds. So these seeds are implanted in the consciousness. Number 3. So the ignorance gives rise to formation of the karma, and karma gives rise to the consciousness, meaning that karmas are planted in the form of seed in the consciousness, your own mind. So this consciousness, then let's say that this consciousness, so in the actual the wheel, we should jump to number 8. Number 8, that is the craving. So this imprint, if that imprint is going to take over to decide your next life, then this seed must be germinated by the water of the craving. Number 8 is craving. Then the craving, when it becomes intensified, it becomes number 9, grasping. Then the craving and grasping combined together will make this seed in a germinated form. That's number 10, becoming. Right? It takes the form of a germinated, say the germinated version of the seed, which is about to make you become your next life, becoming. That is number 10, symbolized by the pregnant women up there. And then so with this, then say your mind will jump to the next birth. Like the mother giving birth to a child, your mind will connect to the next birth. That is typically number 11. Then with a birth, then it goes to number 4. So number 11 is when your mind of the previous life that is ejected from the previous body, and it connects to the next birth. In between, there is what is known as the intermediate state or intermediate the being. In Tibetan is known as pardo. Then you are born in the mother's womb, And in the mother's womb, you have the body from your parents and your mind from the previous life. So these two are depicted as the two passengers in a boat. Name and form. Name referring to the mind and the form referring to your body. So these two together, name and form. So this name and form, you are still in the mother's womb, conceived the mother's womb. And in the mother's womb, now you are developing. You are developing, you're growing in the mother's womb. Then the next one is these sense sources. Sense sources. In the mother's womb, you continue to grow to the extent that you're the organs, eye organs, ear organs, and these, they come out. And the senses, they also become manifest. But the senses, they are more like numb. They don't really, while the senses, it is like your feet when it becomes numb, you touch the ground, you don't feel the ground, you just feel the numbness. That is number 5. Then number 6 is the feeling. So when you are still in the mother's womb, the senses develop even more to the extent that you can now feel. For example, if the mother drinks something very cold, you could feel the cold. If the mother eats something very hot, you can feel the hot. Heat, hot, cold, all these things you can feel so prominently. That is number 7, feeling. Okay, that is number 7 is the contact. Number 6 is contact. Contact meaning the senses developed, senses come in contact with the respective objects. That is number 6, the contact. Then number 7. Number 7 is the feeling. With the contact of the senses and their respective objects, then the feelings come into existence. Feelings come into existence, depicted by the eyes pierced by an arrow. The feeling. So and some traditions, they say that when you get this feeling, if you react, then you accumulate karmas. You have to, so at this point, you can stop the accumulation of karma. This is what some traditions say. They focus so much not to react to the feelings. So the feelings, when the feelings arise, then to these feelings, what happens is that with the feeling, then you move to the number 12. Number 12. So at the moment, we are going through the feelings. The feeling stage is when you are in the mother's womb, as well as when you come out of the mother's womb. We are in the stage of the feeling. We are feeling pleasurable feelings, unpleasant feelings, neutral feelings all the time. And then we end up number 12, aging in death. That is number 12. Okay. So how to stop this aging and death? We don't want to age and die. But depicted by this demon, where you are in the fangs of the demon, there's no escape. Where you're born in samsara, there's no escape from death. You have to die inevitably. This is what the Buddha taught as where there's a birth, there's a death. Is followed by death. Okay, that is. So with this, this is the 12 links of dependent origination. Screen sharing. Screen sharing. Okay, now I'll quickly read the text, and some of you may have questions. I know that many of you have already studied this wheel of life so well. You know why I jumped from number 3 to number 8, 9, 10, number 11, then went to number 4, 5, 6, 7, and then to 12. You know why I did it. And some of you who are not exposed to this teaching or the wheel of life, you may be confused. Why did he not go through all these one by one? Rather, he jumped here and there. Why? Right? So there's a reason there, and this will take us say more time. And if you're interested, I'll be happy to share with you the earlier teachings on the Wheel of Life. There's a separate teaching on the Wheel of Life. You will learn from there. And I'll request our program coordinator, Ms. Tenzin Domala, to share that teaching with you if you're interested. Okay, so let me quickly read this text. This is to say, ignorance causes formations. So now, because this exists, that exists. Because this is produced, that is produced. Because this exists, that exists is one. Because this is produced, that is produced is two. Then number three, because of ignorance, the formation is caused, or the contaminant karmas are caused. Because of contaminant karmas, the consciousness is caused. So there are three things here. And let me share with you that these three things are what Arya Asanga referred to as the three conditions. Three conditions. What do you mean by three conditions? All impermanent phenomena, all composite phenomena should necessarily be governed by these three conditions. And what are the three conditions? First, unwavering condition. And I'll explain each one of them. First, the unwavering condition. Number two, condition of impermanence. Number one, unwavering condition. Number two, condition of impermanence. Number three, the condition of potentiality. Number one, unwavering condition. Unwavering condition. Number two, the condition of the impermanence. Number three, the condition of potentiality. Okay, what does it mean by that? All composite phenomena, all impermanent phenomena should necessarily fulfill these, be governed by these three conditions. The first one, unwavering condition, meaning that all composite phenomena must have a cause. Invariably, there must be a cause. You cannot be, say, unwavering. You cannot be wavered from having a cause. There must be a cause there. Number one. Number two, the condition of impermanence. Not only that composite phenomena should have a cause, the cause must be impermanent. If the cause is permanent, then the result can never be given rise to. Because if the cause is permanent, then the cause will give rise to the cause. There will never be a time where the results are given rise to. So the cause must be impermanent, number two. Number three, not only that the cause should be impermanent, cause must have the potential to give rise to the result. For example, say you like to enjoy mangoes and you plant apple seeds. Don't expect mangoes to grow out of the apple seeds, because the apple seeds do not have the potential to give rise to the mangoes. So even though there is a cause, and the cause is impermanent, but the cause must have the potential to give rise to the result. That is known as the condition of potentiality. So now, having known this, the first line which says, because this exists, that exists. This line talks about the unwavering condition, which means that all composite phenomena should necessarily have a cause. Number two, because this is produced means impermanence. Because this is produced, that is produced. Only if the cause is impermanent, then the result can come into existence. So the condition of the impermanence, number two, because this is produced, that is produced. That indicates the condition of the impermanence. Then number three, ignorance causes formation. Formation here is contaminated karmas. Ignorance can never cause the uncontaminated karmas. If you want to accumulate uncontaminated karmas, don't rely on ignorance, because ignorance will only give rise to contaminated karmas. Ignorance gives rise to formations or the contaminated karmas, and the contaminated karmas will give rise to the contaminated consciousness, and the contaminated consciousness will give rise to the contaminated name and form. So this is how This is the third condition of the potentiality. Okay, so let me continue with this. Then the name and form cause the six sense sources. Six sense sources cause contact. Contact causes feeling. Feeling causes craving. Okay, now in our case, let's say that the say we go through this the feeling at the moment, the feeling, and closer towards the death. When you approach the death, then the craving invariably arises. Craving for one to exist, one not to die, will come. And craving causes appropriation or the grasping. Appropriation meaning grasping. What is grasping? Intense version of attachment. Craving causes appropriation. Appropriation causes becoming. Becoming is number 10. That is the karma being germinated by the craving and appropriation. The germinated version of the karma is known as the becoming. And the becoming causes the birth. So that your mind is ejected from the body, and your mind is ejected from the body, and it connects to the next birth. It can ejecting your mind from the previous body. Simultaneously, it is connected to the next birth. Next birth, I told you last time that I told you earlier. There's an intermediate state. If a person dies in a place, let's say in India, and the person is to take birth in, let's say, in France. In France, the person's body will not travel. Person's mind has to travel. The actual birth will take place in France. The parents, French parents, but the mind has to travel to get there, to be connected to the parents of the next life. So this mind is ejected from India and then travels to France. And how it travels? It travels so fast. It is known as the speed of the mind. It travels at the speed of the mind. You think about it, and it is not simultaneous. It's not simultaneous. It is causal. It takes time, but it's so fast. And of course, to calculate it is way, 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 way faster than the speed of light. It is to travel. So this transient, this transit period, this transition between the death and connecting to the next, the parent's womb. So this transition, period of transition, is known as intermediate state. And that is included as a part of your next life. That intermediate state in Tibetan is known as pardo. That intermediate state is included as a part of your next birth. Okay, actual next birth starts from the conception in the mother's womb, in the next life's mother's womb. That is the actual birth, but that intermediate state is also included as a part of that. Okay. And then it causes craving, causes appropriation, appropriation causes becoming, becoming causes birth, and the birth causes aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, suffering, despair, bewilderment. Thus does this entire great heap of suffering arise. Okay, this is so important for us, for you, for me, for all of us, to reflect on these points. If you look at our own life, we see that the parents, when they see that their children, they complete their studies, they get a job, and the children, they're married, the parents are so happy, I've done my job, right? While the parents, they feel that the core of the mind, yes, now it is like preparing myself for my death, right? And that's not a pleasant experience. But superficially, we have been carried by the conventions of the world, right? Oh, I'm so glad that my child. Yes, of course, you love your children. The whole purpose of raising the children, sending them to school, is that the child will have a better life, a meaningful life, happy life. But as the child goes into this thriving, what is known as the thriving, and then for you closer towards your death. This is reality. And it's very painful, extremely painful. Separation from your children, and sometimes fighting with the children, so painful. And separation from your husband, separation from the wife. And if you are so connected, so close, so loving, again, separation happens in a different way, which is so painful. And if you're not loving, every day you suffer. Every day you suffer. So if you look at this, and then they say, it's so funny that so we enjoy, say, the moments together, and yet, say, what we enjoy, it's just so fleeting. It's so fleeting. Again, it's followed by the pains. And one time, one of my friends, he was sharing with me that that he lost his mother, and he was so close to his mother. Likewise, husband to a wife to a husband, parents towards the children towards the parents. Yes, these things happen. So much love and affection. And then one day the mother passed away. And he told me that, now I don't know what for I'm living. He said, I don't see any reason why I should live. And the whole life seems so meaningful, hollow, the shattering, is so gloomy. This is what he said. It's very true. So on a daily basis, if you can reflect on this, on a daily basis, if I reflect on this, for example, say that you enjoy, what is that? Hot chocolate, right? You enjoy hot chocolate. You take it, and how long does it take? It takes like maybe 5 minutes, 4 minutes. If it is too hot, maybe 10 minutes. And then after that, it finished. And the joy finished, disappears. And then particularly the human relationship. So when too close, when the separation happens, it's so painful. It's so painful. I remember of course, I remember when I was very little, like age 5, 6, 7, having to go to school, and then separation from my father. I lost my mother when I was just 5 years old. And then the father, separation from my father, he has to send us back to school. It's so painful. And next time, me, so joyful. Again, it ends with separation, so painful. Yes, this is reality. This is life. So now the point is that this is what the Buddha referred to as screen sharing. This is what the Buddha referred to as, just see how true what the Buddha taught. Say the craving causes appropriation. Appropriation causes becoming. Becoming causes birth, and the birth causes aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, suffering, despair, and bewilderment. Thus does this entire great heap of suffering arise. It's so painful, so painful. So this is how we have to, say, we never leave this world saying that, oh, I'm so happy, now I'm living, bye-bye. Nobody leaves the world in this spirit. There's either will leave the world with so much anger and angst, or with so much of pain of leaving your near and dear ones. So somehow this is how, we live. Now the wise people, okay. Now the wise people will think of how to stop this. How to stop this, what the Buddha referred to as the birth causes aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, suffering, despair, and bewilderment. Thus Thus does this entire great heap of suffering arise. How to stop that? So then the Buddha continues. Yes, there's a solution. And some people, of course, are not being able to get the full picture of the Buddha's teachings. They say that they think that the Buddha taught. Some people, they openly say that the Buddha taught that everything is suffering. This is total naivety. This is not true. Buddha taught the four seals. All composite things impermanent. All contaminant things are self-nature. Everything is the nature of emptiness, selflessness. Transcending sorrow is absolute peace. The Buddha taught the absolute peace there. It's not that everything is suffering. You transcend the sorrow, there is absolute peace. What is this absolute peace? This is taught by in the next paragraph. When ignorance ceases, formation ceases. When formation ceases, consciousness ceases. When consciousness ceases, name and form ceases. When name and form ceases, six sense sources cease. When six sense sources cease, context ceases. When context ceases, feeling ceases. When feeling ceases, craving ceases. When craving ceases, appropriation ceases. When appropriation ceases, becoming ceases. When becoming ceases, birth ceases. And when the birth ceases, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, suffering, despair, and bewilderment cease. Thus does this entire great heap of suffering cease. This is what the Bhagavan, the Buddha, has called dependent arising. Okay, this is what we need to know. So the Buddha taught how to stop this. And in a real life, how do we see this in a real life? This question. Say, in a real life, yes, we talk about, say that, yes, of course, in a family. For example, for me personally, say when I was small, I was closest to my father. And when I went to my sister, myself, and my brother, my sister being the eldest, she would take us to the father's place when the father was available there for a holiday, like maybe say the lucky if I get like 10 days a year to be with my father. It was the happiest moment. And so like every atom, every cell of your body relaxes when I see my father. There was the amount of the love and affection that I felt towards my father. And then it ends up into suffering. The separation again, the 10 days finishes so quickly. So again, I have to go back to school, and it's so painful. So when will that stop? So we see that in our life, we see that when there's a joy and happiness, again, it finishes. It's a fleeting experience. It finishes. Just think of any happiness, any joy, mental, physical, whatever, joy, happiness, it finishes. This is a reality. And again, you crave for the next. This is the problem. So in the process, what happens is that we build up this tendency, or what is known as imprints. We build up this imprint. And more the imprint is built, more difficult it is to remove this pain. So now the point is that this is reality. So we see that there's so much love and affection. With the separation, so much of pain, this happens. So there are three options. Even just think of your own family, in your own life. Think of somebody you spend most of your time, or with somebody who you feel are so connected and so happy about. Think of that. With your child, with a husband, with a wife, with your colleague, or whatever. And they say, just see, look at these three possibilities. One is that if you're extremely close with the separation, the pain is so intense. How many agree with me? Raise hands. when the feeling is so close over the separation, the pain is so intense. And then particularly the separation for good at the time of death, whole your life is shattered. All the past moments of the joys, merriments, festivities, they're all just so hollow, meaningless, gloomy. How many agree with me, raise hands? Okay, good. Number one, which means so much of feeling of, say, the love and affection, the separation is so much of pain. This is one scenario. Number two, right? If you don't want the pain, no love. You don't love, no pain as separation, right? For example, you have a very difficult time with your neighbor, and the neighbor leaves the place for good. You're so happy rather than pain, right? No love, no pain. Raise hands. This is also true. Good. Number two. Number three. Okay. Number one is painful. Number two, I don't really like it, right? So where you have no feeling of affection towards anybody else, then naturally say your life is so boring, right? There's no affection. When the affection is missing, your life is so boring. So therefore, number two is very boring. Number one is very painful. Number two is very boring. Now, number three, right? In our life, when you look around, we see only these two things, right? We see these two things, the first and second, not the third one. And some of you may be wondering, what is the number third? Number third is very interesting, where there's intense and very strong love and affection with no pain at the separation, right? Okay, tell me. And number three can be a fantasy. It doesn't matter. Just tell me, if you are given a choice, just tell me which of the three would you go for? Anyone? Raise hands. Number one, number one, raise hands. No. Number two, raise hands. Number three, raise hands. If there's a possibility, right? Whether it's possible, not possible, this is a different story, right? If there's a possibility, number three, raise hands. Number three. Okay, good. Now the next question is, if that is possible, if the number three is possible, this is the next question. The Buddha said, absolutely yes. And according to Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory, absolutely no. You're getting it? According to Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory, absolutely no. And according to Buddha, it is absolutely yes. You're getting it? Absolutely no, you don't have to study. Finish, you stay there. Either go experience one or experience two. That's what we are going through, right? Either you feel a very boring life, or you have a very exciting, very happy life with so much of pain at the end, right? So this is what we are all going through. Now, if you are smart, you have to ask the Buddha, how is that number three possible? You're getting it? Don't follow blindly. Don't follow blindly. How is number three possible? This is the question. Okay. So this screen sharing. So the Buddha taught, when ignorance ceases, then all these 12 links cease. And finally, the Buddha said, thus this entire great heap of suffering, of the pains will stop. Stop. This is what the Bhagavan, the Buddha, has called dependent arising. You're getting it? Dependent arising. Okay. Still the question remains. Still the question remains. That is that okay, so this only taught how to stop the pain. You're getting it? So this taught how to stop the pain. The pain is caused by the 12 links, aging and death, is all created by the ignorance. Link number one. Stop link one, and then all the pains will stop. Pain is stopped. But how it still does not address the question, how can we have this intense affection? Intense affection, not compromising the affection, and where your pain is reduced to zero. So how is that possible? This is a very precious question. We should not forget it. Okay. Let me quickly explain this. This is going to be a little technical before I move to the question and answer session. Because that some people, they requested if I can enter in some questions at the end of the session. So I'm going to leave like 25 minutes. So this is a very important point which I'd like to discuss with you. Where, oh, by the way, before we go to my explanation, what is the question which I'm supposed to be addressing? So if you don't know the question, then there's no point in me giving the answer. Anyone who can bring up the question, what that question is, raise hands. Okay, Manjari ji. I don't know. Unmute Manjari ji. Unmute. Suchi ore. Manjari ji kando. On the iPad, on the. Okay, Manjari ji, we are trying to unmute you from our side. Okay, Manjari ji, you have to request. Manjari, no, you have to request us.
We have sent you the request, so you just have to accept, and it will
You have to accept the
automatically
request from us.
Yeah.
So Manjari is my generation. So even if, okay, it's fine. Anyone else? Chunzola, Venerable Chunzola.
Yes, Geshe. I think the answer is how to have intense affection without having pain. How is it
Say
possible?
it again.
How is it possible to have intense affection and love without having pain?
How to have the intense affection and love without compromising affection and love, and yet no pain. So how is that possible? So in this text, what we read, the passage which we read explains how to stop the pain, but we don't explicitly see it mentioned how not to compromise your affection and love towards the beings. Okay, so this is a question. How many of you agree with Venerable Chunzola? Raise hands. That this is the question. Good. As a response to this is a technical answer. This technical answer, I can see that most of you are very familiar to my eyes. So therefore, I would not hesitate to give the answer here. Say, your mind feels a pain. Your mind feels the affection. It's all related to your cognitive thought process. Your cognitive thought process. Okay. Let's say that they say that what is the pain? What is the pain? First, the mechanism of the pain. Then the next is the mechanism of the affection. We have to know these two mechanisms. Mechanism of pain is that you feel, let's say that you feel so close to something. You feel so close to something. And if you agree, then later when I ask a question, you give that response. When you feel so close to one particular person that you want that person close to you. You're getting it? When that person's gone, then you want it, but your want is not answered. Your want is not answered. So what happens is that this is a cognitive thought process. Now the person to whom I feel so close, I want, the person who the presence of which makes me happy is gone. The person presence of which makes me happy is no more with me. You're getting it? So that happiness subsides. What is pain? Say your happiness goes down. Where your happiness goes down, this is known as pain. Okay, so when you feel that cognitively, when you know that this person is gone now, gone forever, the pain is so the decline of the happiness is so abrupt. This is known as a pain. Okay, now look, say in the dream. So within this pain, there is one problem there. This problem I will not share with you directly. I will share that in the form of example, and you tell me. In the dream, you see somebody, okay, you meet with somebody. You meet with somebody with whom you develop a very strong, genuine love and affection. Genuine love and affection. Somebody is extremely kind to you. You are being so kind to the person. In fact, just recently, I saw a video clip of a gentleman, and who cured like a crane, a bird, a big bird, a crane, who was injured so badly. And he found this big bird, very big bird with a long leg, in his field, and so that the bird was injured, the leg was injured. So he treated that. Initially, the bird was resisting, and finally, the bird senses that this person was not really harming me, was helping me to cure. And then the bird felt okay, and the bird was just following the man wherever the man moves. And the man was on the bike. The bird was flying in the air with the man on the bike. And this love this bird feels towards this man, it's just amazing. It's amazing. Okay. So now let's say that in the dream, say that you like this incident of somebody, a bird or a person or whoever is so helpful. When you were in a dire situation, the person helped you, and two of you developed such a genuine affection, so much of affection, love and affection. And in the dream, the person dies. What's your feeling? In the dream, you have intense pain. Yes? Agree, raise hands if you agree. In the dream, you have intense pain. You wake up, the pain dissolves, except for some people, right? Acharya Chandrakirti, he said that some unwise people, some foolish people will still continue the pain, or some foolish people will still continue to have lust, pain, whatever, right? But the wise people will feel so relieved. Wow, it's not real, all right? Okay, you agree, raise hands. Okay, now look, so this person, when you wake up, the pain that you had in the dream disappears. Why? Anyone? Quick. Why? Anyone? Raise hands. Raise hands. Okay, Jeffrey.
Because, yes, Geshe-la, because you know the experience wasn't real.
It's not real. It's not real meaning it's not objectively real. It was just your mental projection. How many agree with Jeffrey? Raise hands. Good. Now the Buddha taught that not only the dream is subjectively real, everything is subjectively real, including your own children, your parents, your husband, your wife. Everything is subjectively real. You're getting it? Okay. If you come to discover that, yes, that's very true. That's what the Buddha taught, that everything is is like a dream projected one's mind, then your fears, all your pains will dissolve. If what the Buddha taught is true, my pains will dissolve. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Okay, good. Okay, so now if you realize, if you get into the ignorance, which ignorance? Ignorance which views things as so objectively real. When that ignorance is removed, by knowing that nothing is objectively real, they're all like dream projected by your mind. When you realize this, the pain dissolves. You're getting it? Okay. Now the next question is how to sustain your love and affection. This is the next question. The next part. So we break this into two parts. So for this love and affection, let's say, and let us put it like this. Okay, for this you have to take part in this exercise, meaning that as I tell you, you have to follow in your thought. You have to follow what I'm saying and see at the end, see if it makes sense. Okay, let's say that a person A, the person A is, let's say that the person A is a very normal person with so much anger, attachment, compassion, all mixed up like who you are, who you and I are today, right? Person A is like that. And the person A suddenly comes to meditate on dreamlike nature of phenomena, that everything's like a dream, right? Okay, so the person A is meditating. And you are observing the person A. You're getting it? You're observing person A. So what happens? That the person A is seeing that everything is like a dream, nothing from the object. Say, like anger in the dream, attachment in the dream. All these, when the person wakes up, all this attachment, anger in the dream subsides. Likewise, this person, in waking state, anger and attachment, they're all in the belief that things are objectively real. So when the person is meditating on emptiness, that everything is like a dream, this attachment, that emotions, attachment, anger, they all subside. This is what you are seeing with the person A when the person A is meditating on emptiness. You agree? If you agree, you raise hands. Good. Now, the person is meditating, the person is deep into the emptiness, anger subsides. You're getting it? Anger, propensity to anger subsides because anger is grounded in belief that things are objectively real. Now the person A is meditating how nothing is objectively real, is waking up. Waking up, anger of the dream subsides. Likewise, the person A, the anger subsides. The more the person A meditates, more the anger subsides. You agree? Raise hands. Good. Now, when the anger subsides, the person A still has the mind. You are seeing the person A's mind becoming purer, purer, and purer. You are getting it? So when the anger subsides, even when the person A comes out, anger subsides. Do you agree? Okay. What stops us from compassion? Anger stops us from compassion. So anger subsides, it leaves room for compassion to grow, compassion to flow. So this emptiness is not nothingness. It is the dependent origin, understanding of dependent origination. Opposites the other side of the dependent origination. Empty, that everything is nothing objectively real. Does not mean that nothing exists. It means that nothing objectively real, everything exists by dependent origination. So you have the acknowledgement of dependent origination. But dependence on others' kindness, my happiness grows. Your anger subsides because seeing emptiness, and you seeing dependent origination, your recognition for others' kindness increases. When you recognize others' kindness more and more, your closeness towards the other person becomes stronger. And the anger, which is the impediment for your compassion, is removed. So there's no, the discordant factors, the concordant factors are created. Concordant factors to see the benefit, the others, how others involvement, they're being very crucial to your happiness. Then you feel so loving and caring towards others, because seeing that the value of the presence of others in your life, you see that your compassion grows even stronger. It's because of this that Nagarjuna in the Buddhist the Bodhicitta Vivarana, Nagarjuna in Bodhicitta Vivarana said that bodhisattvas, when see the emptiness nature of the phenomena, their compassion ever increases. This is what Nagarjuna taught. You're getting it? This is a very technical answer. And then there's even a more technical answer to this. More technical answer to this. By seeing emptiness, what happens is all the mental defilements are removed. When the mental defilements are removed, grosser and subtle, then the mind will behave in its original form. What is the original behavior of the mind? Is that it is not affected by external factors. Which means the pain is no more there. And that the mind flows infinitely to every atom of the universe, like the light. Which means it moves to every mind of the sentient beings. So that is a feeling of the closeness to the infinite beings, universal compassion. So this is the manifestation of the true nature of your mind. That is the subtle explanation. And how do you correlate the two? By removing the gross mental defilements, your mind ceases to be affected by external factors, which means no pain. Pain stops. By removing the afflictive obscurations. By removing the cognitive obscurations, your mind expands infinitely to every atom of the universe. That is the infinite happiness, infinite compassion. What is compassion? Feeling close towards other beings. Feeling so close towards other beings. This is the genuine affection. This affection, when you see the suffering of others, this affection manifests in the form of compassion. When you see that others are deprived of happiness, this affection manifests in the form of loving kindness. So what underscores the compassion and loving kindness is the genuine affection. So this, what is genuine affection? Genuine flow of your mind closer towards the other beings. So the true nature of mind is that it feels so close, it moves too close towards every mind of the sentient beings. For this, how to see the correlation? Remove the afflictive obscurations, stopping your pains. Removing the cognitive obscurations, give you the unconditional love. So this correlation, we have to learn through understanding what emptiness is in the fullest form. Okay, so I'm left with only 7 minutes. Some questions if you have. Raise hands. Okay, there's a group from Kalachakra Center. There are a number of the center members there. If you have questions. Yes, I can hear you. Okay. So your name again? Stephen, yes. I could identify you. But your name skipped from my mind. Stephen, thank you. Okay. This is a good question. So karma, we talk about, say, the intention. So what about, there are some karmas where the intention is not really the key, is made the object. For example, say like the story of this story. And I'm sure that many of you have already heard this story. Yes, these are very standard, the points. It's not just a story. These are very standard positions. Say, okay, let me repeat the question. How many of you did not get a question? Raise hands. Okay. I'm lucky that I got the question directly from Stephen. Okay, the question is that when I talked about the karma, say the cause and effect, where the intention is involved, that becomes the karmic cause and effect. And where the intention is not involved, that becomes the natural cause and effect, not as karmic cause and effect. But there are karmic cause and effect where the intention is not really involved, such as one elderly man who was already in his 80s, who requested who requested Shariputra to make him a monk. And Shariputra just say, in those days, unlike today, in those days, for somebody to become a monastic, they have the power, they have the clairvoyance. The great teachers, they have the clairvoyance. And with the clairvoyance, they will see if you have what is known as the Tharva Chadun Gesa, root of virtue, which is concomitant with nirvana. Root of virtue concomitant with nirvana. So they check if you have this root of the virtue concomitant with the nirvana. If you don't have, then they will not make you. They will say, sorry, we cannot accept you as a monastic. And Shariputra, through his clairvoyance, he could not see this root of virtue concomitant with nirvana in the case of the elderly man. And the Shariputra rejected. Then he, like a small child, he went to the Buddha, crying and saying that, Buddha, please make me a monk. What happened? I went to Shariputra and the Venerable Shariputra rejected. And the Buddha said, don't worry, you become monk. And Buddha instructed Ananda, Venerable Ananda, to make this gentleman a monk. And how come? Okay, so the Buddha saw this, the root of virtue concomitant with with nirvana in the case of this particular elderly person. So what is that root of virtue? What is the root of virtue, or that karma responsible for this person to become a monk? That was many lifetimes, many eons ago. This man took birth as a tiny bee. There are several stories. One version is that it took birth as a tiny bee, and the bee accidentally landed on the cow dung, and the cow dung was accidentally washed away by rainwater, and the rainwater accidentally moved around the stupa, and the stupa happened to be the stupa containing the Buddha Kasyapa's, they say one of the early Buddha's relics. So this poor bee happened to have circumambulated around the stupa without any intention. And that karma, that movement that happened, that karma, that becomes the karma responsible for this being now as a human being, elderly man, to become a monk. So their intention is not involved, but there's a karma, a very strong positive karma dictated by not by the intention, but by the object. By the object meaning the Buddha's relics. So therefore it is said that where we have the possibility to pay respect to the Buddha's relics, this is considered extremely powerful, the meritorious action. So we should make it a point to take advantage of going there to take bodhisattva vows in front of the Buddha relics, say prayers. These are extremely great the opportunity for us. So what about that? So where lies the intention? Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say that generally speaking and specific, there are two. Generally speaking, if you want to get admission in St. Stephen's College in Delhi, St. Stephen's College in Delhi, if you want to get admission there, the cutoff mark is like 98%. If you don't score 98%, don't even attempt to join St. Stephen's College, right? And but this is for what? Okay, I want to join St. Stephen's College. What is your mark? 97. Sorry, cutoff mark is 98. You cannot get there, right? And then, oh, they so, but maybe this is for somebody else. You know, I'm from their school. No, it's for everybody. Cutoff mark means for everybody. But don't forget that I'm the daughter of the Barack Obama, right? I'm the daughter of Barack Obama. Okay, okay. So just hold on, right? Then you send a letter to the principal of St. Stephen's, and then you also check perhaps the Prime Minister of India, and the Prime Minister sent a letter to St. Stephen's, accept him, accept her, right? And then St. Stephen's a letter saying that, okay, you admitted, right? So you got admission not because of your intention, your power, but the power of Barack Obama, your father, right? So because of the power of that, you have a very strong backing from your father that you get enrollment there, although your score is like 60%. Okay, you still get admission there. So there are rare exceptions there, but even there, the intention is involved. Intention, not the okay. Intention doesn't mean that I will take around the stripper, and this poor bee did not have that intention. But it involves the mind there, right? He could sense the movement. The poor bee could feel the movement around something. You're getting it? What is that? There's something is so powerful that poor bee knows that it's moving. So that's intention, the small intention that are moving around something. And the power of the object is so powerful that although your performance is like 60%, and what is coming from the object, Buddha's relics, like the Barack Obama or the whatever, is so powerful that your effort bears the big result. So therefore, this is the karma where it's unlike, for example, say the cow dung. The cow dung in the first place, it will not, they say it will not become become a human being next life. And the cow dung is not special in any ways. But this bee has the mind, which has the intention involved there. So that intention is involved in this movement around. That makes this karma very powerful, not because of the intention, because of the object combined with the little intention the tiny bee has. Okay, this is how we explain it. Yes, of course, these are very rare instances, but it's always advised that where we get the opportunity to say have the Buddha's relics or the places, the holy places, they are extremely a great opportunity for us to accumulate so much of merit, even though our intention may not be that strong. Good, Stephen, thank you so much. Okay, maybe another question. Raise hands if you have. Raise hands if you have. Okay, no question? Okay, then we'll stop here if there's no question. Then we will do the end dedication prayer. Dedication prayer. Okay, we will dedication prayer this year. Chuna di sheda. Nalanda studies kichi yore. Tindu version measure. Okay, okay, we will do the dedication prayer. Let us dedicate that. No doubt that we have accumulated so much of merit by the study of by visiting this very precious text. the Rice Sutra. Let us dedicate marriage that's gathered. That is holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness on this earth, that he lives long, and that is wishes be fulfilled spontaneously. And also let us dedicate the merits that's gathered, that all these great seeds of learning from big monastic universities, they thrive in the activity of study, reflection, meditation on bodhicitta and wisdom and emptiness for the benefit of demon sentient beings. And let me personally dedicate merits that's gathered, that each one of you, through your concerted effort in the practice of the study, reflection, meditation, the practice of this Śhālistamba Sūtra, that you be able to see the dawn of the bodhicitta and the wisdom of emptiness within you soon, that you become such a reliable guide to lead all the demon sentient beings towards ultimate happiness. May all the miseries and tensions in this world stops. May all get a sense of compassion and a universe, the wisdom to see dependent origination. With this mind, let us recite the following verses together. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful generous Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Basamadbhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow the perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the direction praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appear in 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Chanjo samjo remboche Magye panam ke gyoroche Ke ba nyamba me ba ya Kone kondo pe baraisho. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which is arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until that may I truly remain to dispel the miseries of the world. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization that is in the prayers of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of 3 times, and to the holding of the Dhamma teaching realization. May in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. May sentient beings again and again make offerings to all the Buddhas, and may they constantly be joyful and with the inconceivable bliss of the Buddhas. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. To the merits of these virtuous actions, may I could attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into the enlightened state. Deata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhiswatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhiswatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhiswaha. Okay. Thank you, all of you.